Lena and Ethan were the kind of couple that everyone admired. They met in college, and from that moment on, it seemed like fate had brought them together. They shared the same sense of humor, the same taste in music, and most importantly, the same dreams of a future built on love. But, like many young couples, life started to get in the way. Ethan got an amazing job offer in another city, and Lena was offered a chance to study abroad for a year. They promised they'd make it work, long distance, until they could finally be together again. For months, they wrote to each other, sending long emails and calling whenever they could. Every conversation ended with, "I love you," and every letter closed with the words, "We'll be together soon." But things began to change. The calls grew less frequent, the letters shorter. Lena was busy with her studies, and Ethan's work consumed more of his time. Still, they never spoke about drifting apart. They clung to the hope that once they were back in the same city, things would return to the way they were. One day, as Ethan sat alone in his apartment, he started writing a letter to Lena, a letter that said everything he had been holding inside for months. He wrote about how much he missed her, how lonely it had been without her, and how scared he was that they were losing what they once had. He poured his heart into that letter, explaining that, despite the distance, he still loved her more than anything. He confessed that he had been feeling lost without her, but he believed their love could survive if they just tried a little harder. He ended it with a simple, heartfelt plea, "Please don't give up on us." But after finishing the letter, Ethan hesitated. What if Lena had moved on? What if his words only made things worse? So he tucked the letter into a drawer, telling himself he'd send it the next day once he was sure of what to say. That night, Lena called. Her voice was quiet, as if she were holding something back. After a long silence, she finally said the words that Ethan had feared the most. "Ethan, I don't think I can do this anymore. We've grown apart, and I don't feel the same. I'm so sorry." Ethan was silent, the weight of her words sinking in. He wanted to tell her about the letter, about the love he had poured into it just hours before. But something in him froze. He couldn't say it. So instead, he whispered, "I understand." After that, they stopped talking. No more calls, no more letters. Lena continued with her studies, and Ethan buried himself in work, both of them trying to forget the love they once shared. Months passed, and one day, Ethan came across the letter he had written to Lena, still sitting in the drawer, unsent. His heart ached as he reread it, realizing that if he had just sent the letter, things might have been different. But now, it was too late. Lena had moved on, and Ethan would never know if those words, those unsent feelings, could have saved their love. He folded the letter, placed it back in the drawer, and closed it forever.